And welcome back. Today we are flying out the final boss of the loopers after doing the C2B and the LA-15. Here we are with the MiG-19S. Now the MiG-19S is about 8% lighter than the MiG-19 PT, but I do think that the PT is actually a better plane for aerobie. It has missiles, sure, they're not very great, but the third gun doesn't really add that much, and acceleration and weight difference doesn't really change that much in terms of the gameplay, other than maybe when you 1v1 another PT. The PT in general plays the exact same way. This thing is just slightly better at it. But the missiles are sometimes a nice tool to have, and this is how you will fight most of your enemies. You go head on with someone or you don't, and then you just start looping. And there are very little planes that can actually do anything about this. The main planes you want to look out for are planes with a low stall speed with high powered missiles. Planes like the A-10. Now 1v1, these are no issue whatsoever. But if you get third partied by one, you basically cannot play the game. They can just kind of float behind whoever you are trying to kill, and you can't do it. Because the second you go slow, the second you lose too much airspeed, the 9L will just give you the big L. Not a fun experience. And this plane, while it's extremely powerful, it's not exactly easy to fly. So you find a plethora of people thinking that the plane is bad because they simply cannot fly it. And there's nothing wrong with it, there's no shame in that, because this thing is not exactly easy. As busted as the flight performance is, you need to fly in a very specific manner. And you also need to do these specific things at the right times, because it's very easy to do the right thing at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at the right time. And you're better off doing the wrong thing at the right time, because if you do the right thing at the wrong time, very often you just set yourself up for disaster. So we go head on, we get radar locked through the cloud, and we get the frontal aspected. So I'm pretty certain that it's a MiG-21, not sure which version, I'm gonna guess the 21S. So I just simply go vertical, and if he tries to follow that, he will stall himself out. And that's exactly what he does. We just turn in here, and we are below him, but we're also going 740. He will not be doing anywhere near that. So we go into a little bit of a spiral. I notice that he's taking a pretty bad line. He's going horizontal, and now he's trying to drop down. I noticed that, so instead of trying to go up again, I'm gonna go down a little bit, pick up my airspeed, increase my turn rate, and then we will just simply pull up right into him. And he doesn't have the ability to turn into us, because he's a low speed MiG-21S. And at low speed, that thing becomes an absolute flying shit brick. Of course, if you are on equal energy, that thing becomes pretty nasty, because it can get some pretty good stall shots off. But that was the opposite of what was happening, so he was literally zero threat at all. Going head on with an F3H here, we want to dodge the Sparrow. And in the meantime, I want to thank all my patrons in the top right. Thank you all very much for supporting me. You have been absolutely wild lately. Barely dodged the missile, we go back into the head on. And then we just go vertical, just like the first F3H that we stalled out. And again, there is just very little he can do. He has to just dive out, he has to reset. And he needs to make sure that I do not get an angle on him. If he dives out, he's going to waste a lot of my energy. And he's going to make it so that he's going to live a hell of a lot longer. The problem is, the F3H loses a lot of airspeed. If you have flown the Super Mystere, it's very similar to that. It's slightly better, but it's also at 9.7. And no, I won't be flying this plane, because it's absolutely appalling. So we have him stalled out, and now one of my teammates comes in, which I don't actually enjoy, because I want this kill for myself now. I already basically put him in the bag. I only have to confirm the kill at this point. So, for the sake of footage, I want to make sure that I'm the one that kills him. And he's basically flying straight. And then the second I line up, he starts defensive flying. But this is a lot harder to hit than someone that stalls himself out like the first one. So this one did the right thing, but at the wrong time. Well, then again, versus the MiG-19S, the F3H is basically useless. So there is not very much he could have done. Probably best bet is what he did. You can't really try anything other than maybe force a reversal. And here's one of your main contemporaries, the F4C. Now the F4C, well, it's not exactly better than you. It's faster than you, and it can be pretty annoying. It has that Vulcan, it has a good amount of AOA at high speeds. And it's high speed. The high speed basically counters this plane. The thing is, the F4C is going to absolutely struggle trying to kill you, and if it ever sticks to dogfight more than 2 seconds, it's very likely going to die. Right here we are getting a little bit sandwiched, a lot of guys around us. The F5C is on us, he's closest, so I will go defensive with him first. He also has a teammate on the 6, so I want to keep him occupied the most because he is completely contested. And if we keep him distracted long enough, he might actually die. And that's exactly what happens here. The F5C has to break off, and now I can very easily go head on partial deflection with the F4C. And the F5C is basically out of the picture. The F5C is still trying to go for me. For whatever reason, I'm not sure what his deal was here. You have someone on your 6, deal with that guy first. You're not catching me. You are wasting your time, your energy and your plane. So the F4C is now on our 6, the F5C gets cleaned up by a friendly. And we just want to make sure that we don't get gunned down by the triple gun pod user that we have on our 6 right here. I kind of pulled in front of him here again. I want to bait him into a fight thinking that he has us. And if he sticks too long, he will die to one of my teammates. And if he sticks even longer, then I will be able to kill him myself. F4C here kind of breaks off, a little bit too slow. We predict his flight path, and down goes the F4C. As well as the one that was on R6. And one of the main issues, and I want to talk about this before it actually happens with this plane, is the constant blacking out. If you don't have a good pilot, I'm running a 75 crew, with of course the expert, you are going to be having a pretty rough time. This plane pulls extremely hard, and it does it extremely long because it simply doesn't lose speed. So you're always pulling like 12 Gs for prolonged periods of time, even in a sustained dogfight. And it can be extremely annoying. So it's actually advised to sometimes go a little bit slower. But it depends on what you are fighting. But I want to show you exactly what I mean versus the F4C that we are about to fight. Because I fought on this way for a specific reason. I wanted to show you that even in F4C, that if you send it too hard, might be able to get some shots off on you. Now keep in mind the F4C at the end here will have pretty low fuel amounts. I will too. But a low speed Phantom actually just pulls energy out the ass. It's pretty damn nasty. Here I'm just trying to snipe him. And he's well within our range. The gunners on this thing have an insane range. But he's actually paying attention. You don't see this every day. Normally when they're about 1.2 in front of me, they just go completely straight and I can dink him out of the air. Not today. He's actually playing it pretty safe and he's flying towards his airfield. At least this time I can kind of excuse it because he has a teammate there. So I shall just break off. He wants to regroup. He instantly turns back for us. And I know that LOTW, the Balkan Games 12, has probably pretty high fuel. He just took off. So he is not going to be the main target here. Comet will be, because he has been flying around for a while. And here we go. I will force a certain fight here. I'm going to try to bleed this guy of energy. But look at my pilot blacking out. And this with a max crew. It doesn't have ace. But other than that, I have all the qualifications. Now here I black out, which is a little bit of a problem. And you can see that how quickly I'm blacking out, how hard I am turning. I'm actually going to throttle drop a little bit here to shed like 150 to 200 kilometers an hour. Because I will still outturn this guy, no big deal. But I want to be careful, and even now I'm still completely blacked out. I finally stopped blacking out. Balkan Gamers is flying to the middle of the map, and we are alone here to 1v1 the F4C. Now the F4C, well, is not exactly the most dangerous in a dogfight. Even then, it takes me quite a bit of time to actually kill him. And that's the main issue with this thing. You can't really kill people super quickly. Sure, if your aim is good, unlike that, thank you for the timing, then you might be able to go in and kill people, especially when they are unaware. The thing is, you need to bleed speed. And this is not something you can do in the middle of the map, which is what I'm trying to get at. Because a slow jet is a dead jet. And right now I'm just trying to get away from the airfield. And I will be going straight here, extend a little bit, get my speed back up. And mostly get away from the airfield. And I know he's going to turn around for the airfield instantly. So we're going to set up a head-on. So I can instantly drop back on his 6 the millisecond he does so. So I'm going to go straight on here. I'm going to give him a deflection. Close the speed. I go up and over. I go straight up. I wait for him to turn left or right. And the second I see him go to the right, I go to the right. I cut off his flight path. And I just drop onto his 6. He should have gone straight. But hey, if you need crushes this bad, walking straight might prove difficult as well. That's going to be kill number 3. And we are going to fly straight into the next match. So we are up and above the entire enemy team. Again, a partial up tier 10.3. And I'm just in the middle of the map looking who I can engage. I'm mainly looking at people who are engaged. The aviator is shooting at someone, missiles, and I think I can head on him, but he actually sees us. I break off that. I don't want to take those head-ons. Very sketchy, especially at closer ranges. And I'm simply not feeling it. So we go up and over, and there's a second Harrier here, which is why I went to this furball. There were multiple people on this A5. So the chance to find at least one person that's going to full send and not look around was pretty high. Which means we essentially get a free kill. F4C coming in, he's going not too fast. I think, oh, that's going to be prime target, and he slams it into the ground. Instead, now I'm going to go for the F105. The MiG-21 is on the F5. The Harrier is coming in from the other angle, and I might kill him here. But the F105 is a plane I don't want to deal with in the late game. Right now I'm pretty close to him. Maybe I can spook him, maybe I can snipe him. And even though this might screw my team up in the short run, in the long run, if I have to carry and there's an F105 around that will only look at me, I will not be killing this guy. He's going to be going 1350 on the deck. I will not be able to catch this guy in my wildest dreams. And he's going to make it so that carrying versus anything else is going to be virtually impossible. So I wanted to get him out of the match right now. I got the MiG-21 killed, so I'm sorry for that. But I was looking for the long term here, and I wanted to make sure that I could carry it in the late game. A32 and AV8 as well as an F5C are all planes I can 1v1. And they're all planes that I can somewhat deal with as long as I have some spacing and they don't have missiles left. Now the A32 is actually engaging someone away from us, which means I am free to 1v1 the Harrier. The F5C is coming in, so I'm a little bit on the clock, but I luckily instantly blast his wing off. F5C coming in, making sure that I'm picking up a little bit of speed, so I don't want to turn too much, but I also want to make sure that my angle in the merge here is correct. So we go under him, we pull up into him, and he's going a little bit faster than us, so he will reverse in front of us almost instantaneously, and we are now on his 6. Keep looking behind for the A32, nowhere to be seen just yet. And I'm on this guy's 6, just like that, almost instantly. And once you are in this position, and the F5C isn't fast enough to run away, well, let me tell you, this guy is going to be doing absolutely nothing. So we pull back into him, we blast him out of the air, and we start diving in, and we do the exact same thing as we just did to the F5C. But with the F5C, it's a little bit harder, because the A32A is not exactly a powerful aircraft. So he comes in from the left, or the right, doesn't really matter. And we just go up and over. And this guy, instead of sending the dogfight, is going to do the classic thing of running straight back to his airfield. Now I understand it. You are going to say, what is the A32 going to do versus the MiG-19S and your teammate right next to you? That's the thing, nothing. You should have played it different in the early game. It's not my problem that you took that plane. It's not my problem that you let your team die. It's as simple as that. It really is. Why is it our problem that your team died? Why is it our problem that you took a bad plane? It's not our problem. And I'm just so fucking sick of this shit. I'm so fucking sick of this shit. You have no idea. I'm fine with AA working when you're trying to land. I'm fine with AA working when you're on the ground. But I am so damn sick of this game playing the match for you because you are too scared to play the game. So I decide I'm just going to park on this guy's 6 and see how he's going to try and defense fight. Because I already know what he's going to do. He's not going to try to dogfight us. He's not going to try to reverse us. What he's going to do, he's going to try to do a 180 and head straight back to the airfield. We are almost in the middle of the map and he tries to return back to his airfield. Like, I can't even have a fight with this guy because all he thinks about is his airfield. And it was the same thing with the F4C. And it's going to be the same thing at the end of this match. People dictate their entire flight behavior by knowing there is an airfield on the other side of the map and they will go there whenever they are in danger. And sure, this makes for some super predictable kills, because you can know that they will go over there the millisecond you engage them, which makes it easier for you to cut them off and know where they are going to head. But where's the fun? Where's the fun in letting the game just play itself? If you take a bad plane and you don't like it, you don't have to take it. And I know I rant about this all the time, and I know people complain about me ranting about AA all the time. But why is this still a thing? I'm fine with AA. I'm not fine with it being abused. And you can say, oh, blame the game, not the player. But every player does it. Every fucking player that I run into just runs back to the airfield. And it doesn't matter if I'm in a worse plane or a better plane or in an advantageous position. I was flying the 190 and I get an F2G above me, and instead of trying to fight me, he runs back to his airfield because I tried to push a single ahead on. Like, what are we doing here, people? And don't even get me started on mid-map AA. Do not get me started on mid-map AA. You have M163s in the middle of a field in a prop match. The frontline airfield isn't a trade-off, it's just a second main base. Why is that a thing? Why is there a second airfield on the map? And I'm completely fine with the forward airfield because it makes resupplying when you have to ground pound 10 times quicker, and it's making carrying or ground pounding 10 times less obnoxious. And it's a great change. But why isn't there a trade-off? There is a mid-map right now, and then next to it is the frontline airfield, and then behind that, guess what? There's the main airfield, which is even bigger. So what are you going to end up with? You're going to end up with basically the entire enemy side of the map is filled with AA that can randomly blow you up. What am I supposed to do? Camp my own side of the of the map? Never get out of it? Yes, I can ground pound when they camp the airfield. I'm not here, I'm not playing fighters to ground pound. And people really like using the argument of, well, you're in a better plane. What am I going to do in my ground attacker? Now imagine you're engaging the fighter. You are about to kill the fighter, but then he runs back to his airfield and he resets the fight. He now made it impossible for you to kill him. But you've never been in that situation because you never leave your side of the map. You are always within AA range, or at least AA dive range, to make sure that someone can't kill you. You've never been on the receiving end of someone camping on you because you never leave your side of the map. The argument goes both ways. If you don't want the bad player to get farmed, and that's why you have airfield AA to neutralize that, now imagine if the bad player gets to jump on a good player. Do you really think a bad player is going to kill a good player if the good player is anywhere near an AA zone? No, it's not going to happen. It goes both ways. And if anything, this makes it worse for the bad players if the good players camped it just as much. But they don't, because they don't have to. Second part is people complaining about being strafed. We all take off at the same time. If you run out of ammo, if you get damaged first, if you run out of fuel. All of these things are in your control, and if you have to land, that is your problem. Land at an opportune time or don't land at all. In my old jet days, I barely ever got strafed. Barely ever. And why is that? Because I didn't land when there was someone going for me. I didn't land when I didn't know where the enemies were. Landing is a privilege, not a right. We all take off at the same time. If you have to land first, that is your problem. If you are on the runway and the guy is right next to you, he outplayed you. That is your problem. And lately I'm not completely opposed to AA working when you're on the ground, but not when you're flying towards it, when you are in the air as well. And just a close of this vehicle, and you'll never guess what happens next. We get missiled by a teammate, and the Harrier then of course blames his missile instead of himself. Because, you know, same thing as with AA, and having to land, take some fucking responsibility, thank you very much. And you might think, hey, A32, didn't you just kill that guy? Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? Thank you all for watching, see you tomorrow.